Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are back with another year-end favorite video. Today we are covering the base. I am talking about foundations, concealers, a couple of primers, have a setting spray or two, and then also blush, bronzer, and highlighter. After today I will do two more. I'm going to cover eyes, brows, and lips, and then eyeshadow palettes will be its own separate category. I have so much good stuff to share with you guys today, and we're going to do each little subcategory in a ranking order. So I'll tell you guys which ones are like of my favorites, of the best that I've tried. We're gonna rank those because who doesn't love a good ranking? The only thing that could make this video any better. I hope you guys are excited about it. Before we get into everything, if you are new here, please consider subscribing to my channel and make sure that those notifications are turned on. With that said, let's get to it. All right, so why don't we start with a couple of primers and then a skincare item I have here. These ones I'm not ranking because there's just a handful of them. First, I wanted to mention these. This is the hyaluronic acid collagen eye patches from the brand Aeronix. I bought this on Yes Styles. This is a K-beauty brand or Korean beauty brand. I love these. Now, there are 60 patches in here. I actually don't use them just as patches all the time because I don't have time just to sit there and wait for a patch to like soak into my skin. I'll do that occasionally, but on those days when I'm a little bit more hurried, I just will dip into here with a clean finger or even a clean brush and use a little bit of the serum to kind of tap on my under eye area. They are so incredibly hydrating. I actually wish that they made whatever is in these eye patches, the liquid formula, in just like a squeezy tube. I'd probably get better use out of it that way, but either way, these are fantastic. They're quite affordable. I will link them down below in case you're interested, but I love these. If you have dry under eyes, these are a heaven sent. Also for my dry skin friends out there, the Glow Recipe Watermelon Dewdrops. I think I may have mentioned these in last year's video because I did try them out last year, but this year I have used these things like crazy. They are the most hydrating thing that I put on my face. If you have extremely dry skin, these are technically a serum, but if your skin is so dry that you find foundations have a difficult time looking good on your skin or not just feeling heavy and cakey, they have a hard time blending out, try this first and then immediately or almost immediately go on with your foundation. It will make all the difference. I love this. I wish I could find a drugstore exact dupe. There are other primers that I love, but this more than anything really softens up my skin for foundation. One primer. This one I think I also tried last year, but this is the year that I really got a lot of use out of this thing and fell in love with it. It is the Physicians Formula Butter Glow Liquid Highlighter. I love this stuff, especially underneath a medium coverage, more natural finish foundation. This gives the most beautiful glow. I love it. It's very, very pearly, but it's very gel-like. If you felt like something like the Halo Glow or the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter was a little bit too creamy, almost greasy feeling for you, you might like this formula a little bit better because it's much more of a kind of gel or water based feel to it. It doesn't make my skin as greasy, yet it still hydrates in the way that like something more of like a watery texture would. It's lovely. I imagine a lot of people would enjoy this as long as you like some glow to your skin. Let's go to my foundations. These we are going to rank from my least favorite to my most favorite. I have 5 here today that deserve to highlight. Let's start with number 5. This one I also tried out last year, but I've really gotten to know this foundation over the last year, and it is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. This foundation is for a very specific purpose. It is the heaviest foundation that I own, the most full coverage foundation that I own. It definitely can look a little bit cakey, so be aware of that going in. But if you are looking for something that is going to give you maximum coverage, maybe you're doing like family pictures or something like that, you're not going to be talking to people up close that are maybe going to think, wow, that's quite the cake face you have going on, but you want to look good on camera and have things kind of concealed. This is great for that. It's going to conceal absolutely everything. If you are using it in a situation where you're a little bit more in close contact with people where they might see if your foundation is looking too heavy, just go very light-handed with this or combine it with something that's more of a medium coverage or even a skin tint, or just use it in the areas that you need it. You almost could use this like a concealer. It has that high of coverage, but if you need coverage above anything else, take a look at this thing. It is pretty industrial. Next up, I would rank my About Face Performer Foundation. This thing has really grown on me over the course of this last year. Even the applicator, which I think I complained about the first time I tried this, it has a giant doe foot applicator. Okay, the only thing, like pulling it out, I'm always afraid to yank it out because it kind of gets a little bit stuck. Because if you've ever gotten foundation, especially if you have a white shirt on, or honestly any shirt, if you get foundation on your shirt, it is catastrophic. It is very difficult to get foundation, especially a dollop of foundation, out of your clothing. I'm always a little bit careful pulling this out of the bottle, but I actually do like the doe foot applicator. The shade match is just right for me. I got it spot on, which is rare. I use the shade LM1 neutral. It's a really good medium coverage, natural finish foundation. It wears well on me, easy to apply, just all around a good one. Ranked at number 3 is going to be my Easy Blur foundation from Huda Beauty. I've really enjoyed this. This is the foundation I'm wearing on my skin today. Again, this is a solid medium coverage. This also has a natural finish to it. It's very budge proof. It wears very well. This is a foundation that if I put it on at 8 in the morning and I look at my skin at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night, my skin will still look really well covered. It holds up really well, especially in those areas around like the nose and the mouth where things tend to either settle or kind of rub off. This doesn't seem to do that. It also just looks really good on your skin, especially in this area. If you have larger pores, this seems to sit really well on top of those areas, more so than other foundations do. It doesn't seem to emphasize the pores as much as others do. I don't know that I go so far as to say it totally blurs them or makes them disappear, but it just looks very nice on that very sensitive area, I guess, is as far as I'll claim. But that said, I am a sucker for a good dewy foundation, and ranked at number 2 is the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. You guys can, if you can see, this bottle is half gone. I just picked it up this last year, and I have come to really love and use this foundation a ton. This also is a really good shade match for me. This is MN3. Beautiful foundation for those of you that like a little bit more glow, that have drier skin. I wouldn't say it holds up quite as well as the Easy Blur, but if you like a glowier finish, I think you'll like this one a little bit better. Another thing I love about this one is the price. For a Sephora foundation, this one is actually priced really reasonably. That's one of the things that has most impressed me with this brand, is their packaging is beautiful, they're good quality products, and they're priced much more reasonably for a higher end makeup brand or something sold at Sephora. And ranked in the number 1 spot is going to be no surprise to any of you that have watched my videos for the last couple of months. It is the Super Stay Skin Tint from Maybelline. I could get rid of every other foundation in my collection and use this alone and probably be content for the rest of my life. Now, this foundation does have a little bit more luminosity to it, but it's not in a greasy way. It has some pearl inside of it, but it's very, very subtle. I almost didn't detect it the first several times on my skin until I started to notice it inside the bottle. The first couple times I put this on my skin, it just has this glow that is unlike anything else that I've tried. It's not a glow that a like greasy product would give you or something more luminous. I'm thinking of like even the LYS foundation or the Flower Beauty Light Illusion. I love how those look on my skin, but they definitely have more of like the glow in them is coming from the hydration. The glow in this one comes from the pearl, and it's so subtle and lovely. It's not glittery in any way. Coverage of this is amazing. It wears amazing. I have 2 bottles here because I basically combine these 2 shades to get my perfect undertone and shade. 220 and 118. I actually have just ordered another 220. So in a couple of days, I will have 3 bottles of this foundation, and I will definitely use every last drop of them and then some. I will continue to buy this, I think, as long as they make it. It is that good. If you haven't tried it, go try it now. It is so good. All right, let's move on to concealers. So I have just 5 concealers to mention. I did try out quite a few concealers this year, but these are the ones that stood out to me above the rest. Starting at number 5 is the Pretty Smart concealer. I really like this concealer, and I think it would have a higher ranking if it wasn't for the amount of product you get in here. Not a lot of product in here, 1.8 ounces. It is about $10 for the bottle. I think it's either $8.98 or $9.98 or something close to that. But it's a really great concealer. It wears really well. This is one of the type of formulas that I can wear anywhere. I can put it on my eyelids. It's not too greasy that it's gonna crease all over the place or wear off or look terrible in a couple of hours, but it's also good enough or has enough coverage to cover some of the hyperpigmentation marks I have on the perimeter of my face. A good all like general purpose concealer. The next concealer I know is going to cause a little bit of controversy, but I can't deny I bought this and it's a really good concealer. And I know that some of you love this. The She Glam concealer. I got this on Amazon. I know there are some issues with She Glam that many of you have had, not specifically with the concealer, but with this brand. So if you want to look into those controversies, there's plenty of information on the internet for you. So feel free to go check that out. But I really have enjoyed this concealer. It's really good. If you are on a very tight budget and you don't have issues with this brand, it is one formula-wise that I think is great and worth mentioning. Ranked at number 3 is the Cali Ray Hideaway Concealer. I would have ranked this one higher, except that this is a very specific concealer. It's really more of a color corrector than it is a concealer. And this one in particular is just for my under eyes, and not even for the full under eye. It's for this little dark circle that happens underneath my eyes right there. I cannot put this anywhere else. It slips and slides around. It will crease if I put it on my eyelids, but it is the most heavily pigmented concealer or color corrector that I've ever tried. It does a fantastic job at canceling out this little blue pocket. If you get them, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's amazing. You definitely can do that with other concealers. I just think this one does a better job at really canceling that blueness in a way that other concealers diminish it a little bit. This totally covers it. So kind of one of those things that's not for every day if you're in a hurry, but it does serve a very specific and a very effective purpose. Ranked at number 2, I'm gonna go with the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer. Now, once I use up this concealer, I question whether I'll buy it again because this is quite expensive. When I am buying a high-end concealer, typically, I like to look for something that gives me a lot of product, something that has like 0.38 or 0.4, even sometimes 0.5 ounces in it. There are a few. I have a few from Lancome, from Dior. Anyways, I bring that up because I love getting the value in those. If I'm spending a lot of money on a concealer, like closer to the $40 mark, it makes me feel a little bit better about spending that high dollar mark. This concealer has 0.23 ounces in it. Not the least. I mean, there are others that I've tried that have less than that, but for its price, that's not a lot of concealer. However, it is a really good concealer. It's very good medium-high coverage. It's very creamy. I can use it just about anywhere. This is my favorite concealer to use lately, especially for the perimeter of my face. It covers up these difficult hyperpigmentation areas that I have so well. Such great coverage, very creamy, and it sits so beautifully on top of the skin. And ranked in the number 1 spot, I'm gonna go with my Revlon Colorstay Full Coverage Flex Wear Concealer. I love this stuff. It is so good. It's very nice, and I would say it's like medium, maybe a medium-high coverage, but it wears extremely well. It does not budge. It's one of the most long-wearing concealers that I own, but it's not drying on my skin. I especially love this concealer as my eyelid primer. This one is my lighter shade. This is in the shade, oh dear, Revlon's one of the brands that do this to me. Seriously, it's like 0.006 typeface. 15 Light Pale. This one works so good for my eyelids, and if I'm not using my Hideaway concealer right here in my under eye area, I have a darker shade that I use on the perimeter of my face as well. You get a ton of product in here, so not only is it drugstore, but you also get 0.34 ounces, which is a good amount of product. I've really enjoyed this one. It is one that I would use it just sparingly, and I generally feel this way about concealers, period. I try not to do a lot of swiping because my skin is so dry. Anytime I use too much concealer, it always goes badly, but this is one that if you use just a small amount just where you need it and you do have dry skin, I think you can get away with it, even though it is, I would say it's more drying, but it sets down really well, so if you use too much, you probably will notice it to be a little bit on the dry side. Okay, let's move on to bronzers next. So I have 5 bronzers to talk about today, and ranked at number 5, I'm gonna go with the Revolution Ultra Cream Bronzer in Light. I'm surprised they call this a light shade because I actually think this is like, the color of this one is more suitable for like a light medium skin tone. It's actually quite dark, but you definitely could use it if you have fair skin. You just would need a very small amount of this. But I really love this one. It's a good cream bronzer. It wears pretty well on me. It's a really good shade. It's kind of one of those shades that's somewhat cool, but not so cool that it looks ashy on you. So it kind of sculpts and warms at the same time. It's not too dark, it's not too orange, it's just right, just where I like it. Ranked at number 4, we're gonna go with the Pretty Smart Bronzer in Hermosa 2. I feel bad ranking this at number 4, honestly. The top, there are some good contenders for 1, 2, and 3. Otherwise, this is probably one of my most reached for powder bronzers throughout the year. Great bronzer, very good basic bronzer. The color of this one is, again, just a good, warm but not too orange. It goes on beautifully, it blends like a dream. A very easy bronzer to use if you have a light to light medium skin tone. Once again, so impressed with this brand. I think their products are really good quality, and this is probably one of my favorites of what I tried from them. Coming in at number 3 is one that I actually tried a couple of years ago, but it's really worked its way into my regular rotation this year. This is kind of the year that I really fell in love with this one. It is the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream in the shade Laguna 02. This is such a good bronzer. You guys will see, I mean, this thing has a serious dent in it, but have no fear, there is so much product in here, and I think the formula is great. This one actually, I would say, is, for me, if you are any fairer than me, I would go with the first shade and not this one, because this one, even on me, can be a tiny bit dark. You do not need a lot of this product. It is very, very pigmented, but I mean, look at that. Look how much product just in that little tapping. I mean, look how dark that looks. You really do not need very much, and you'll have to be careful when you dip your brush into this because it's just so soft, but it's also not so emollient and almost greasy feeling as some other bronzers, which I also like, but this is more of like a kind of like a soft matte sort of feel, has kind of like a satiny feel to it. It sets down a little bit better. But above all, the amount of product inside here is outstanding. You get 19 grams of product in here, just for comparison's sake. Let's have a look at the Revolution one. 6.7 grams, 3 times more product. I mean, I know the NARS is more expensive, but honestly, this will last you forever. If you don't have a lot of bronzers and you want just one good staple cream bronzer, this thing will last you a very, very long time. Makes it worth the price, in my opinion. Ranked at number 2, I'm gonna go with my Physicians Formula Mineral Wear Diamond Bronzer. This one is in the shade Bronze Gem. I believe they have 2 shades of this bronzer, a light medium and then a like medium to deep. This is the lighter shade, and you guys have already hit pan on this, and you won't believe what happened to me. I was in Marshall's just yesterday picking up a couple of last minute gift items for Christmas, and guess what I found in the makeup aisle? A brand new package of the cream bronzer. I knew I was gonna pick up a new one of this soon, and it was only $5.99. Score. I was so excited about that. Although there's a part of me that anytime I see something in Marshall's, I'm like, uh-oh. Does that mean that it's being discontinued? I hope not, because honestly, this is one of my most reached for cream bronzers over the year. This looks amazing on my skin, especially if you have more fair skin and you find a lot of bronzers to turn orange on you. This is a very warm bronzer that is in no way orange. I'm wearing it on my skin today. It just sits beautifully on the skin. This probably looks the prettiest on my skin of anything that I put on. Every time I put this on, I'm just like, wow. It's kind of glossy looking, but it's not overly sticky. I don't know. It is a little sticky, but it just looks so pretty. Every time I use this, I wonder why I use anything else, because it looks so good. But obviously there's something I use a little bit more, because ranked at number 1, I'm gonna go with my NYX Buttermelt Bronzer. Now this is a powder formula, but it's so, I hate to use the word creamy because it's not creamy. It's obviously a powder, but it just is so silky. There's a better word. It is lovely. I have 2 shades of this. I have the shade 2 and the shade 3, I believe. Yes, 2 all butted up and 3 deserve butta. 3 I have to be a little light-handed with. It's a little bit deep on me. 2 is just right. Now, the only thing with these bronzers, they are a little bit rosy in tone. So if you don't like a kind of blushy or red-based bronzer, you might not like these, because at least the 2 shades I have tried both have that effect. But sometimes I love that because I feel like you're bronzing and blushing at the same time. So it's a good kind of dual purpose product, or a one and done kind of put on and go out the door. Such a great formula. This stuff goes on so quickly. I can use any brush with it, something really large like this, or something a little bit more kind of angled and detailed like this. Honestly, you can't screw up this bronzer. It just goes on and blends so quickly and easily. It's amazing. This is one of the most impressive products of the year for me personally. Okay, that brings us to highlighters. A lot less highlighters. I have just 3. Ranked at number 3 is something that I just tried out, but I've really been enjoying this. It's the GXVE highlighter from Gwen Stefani. Is she discontinuing her brand? I feel like everything was on sale this holiday season. It seems like they're clearing out of her brand, and honestly, I'm kind of sad about it because this impressed me so much. I kind of wanted to go back and try a few more things, but after placing one $300 Sephora order, I decided, no, that's enough. We don't need to go back for more. I've really been enjoying this highlighter. It's a very unique highlighter formula. It's kind of a, I've talked about this before, so I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, but it's very white based, so you almost get more of the highlight effect from the color of it than you do from the shine. Normally, I like a good amount of shine. There is definitely some sheen to this, but it's much more pigmented than most highlighters that I typically try, which are more shimmery and also more sheer. This is kind of a different effect, but it looks beautiful on the skin. I don't know that they still have this in stock. I know they've been clearing these out, but if you happen to see it there, and on sale especially, it's worth a look. Okay, ranked at number 2, I'm gonna go with my Melt Cosmetics Stargazer Highlighter in Digital Dust. This is so good. A little bit more expensive. I believe I bought mine when they were on sale. I think they were on sale for like $10 off when I bought mine. I want to say these are around $40 a piece. This is stunning. This is such a great highlighter shade. It's a little bit champagne, a little bit pink, and a little bit peach all at the same time. It looks amazing on my specific skin tone. They do have other shades of this as well, but this one is one of the prettiest highlighter shades I think that's like the perfect color for me personally. Normally, I don't think that's a huge deal, but what I have discovered over the last couple of years especially, I generally don't like a highlighter that's too icy or blue based. I find them to look a little bit too artificial and iridescent. It's kind of funny saying artificial because all highlighters look artificial somewhat. But ranked at number 1, I'm gonna go with my Pretty Smart highlighter in Golden Bloom. This is beautiful. This is also a really beautiful shade. Similar, I actually think these are kind of similar to each other. Let's have a look. They are a little similar. I think this one's just a little bit lighter, but once again, what I love about this one is it's a good mix of a champagne and a pink and a little bit of peach that makes it less kind of icy and cool toned. This one is stunning. I'm wearing it on my cheeks today and it is just so lovely. Also affordable, which it's hard to find a really good highlighter that's a powder highlighter and is affordable at the drugstore. This is one of the best that I've found in recent years. Next category is blushes. I have 6 blushes to share with you guys today. First off is the Sydney Grace Cream Blush. I have 2 shades, Lovebirds and Dreamy. I love these both. I love this formula. Now my only hesitation with this, I looked on their website, I could not find out how much product is inside each of these. I didn't save the boxes that they came in. It's possible that it would have mentioned on there. It doesn't seem like you get very much product in these. However, these are a very pigmented formula, so I imagine these will last a while. You do not need very much of these. I mean, just a tiny little tap with your brush is really all you need. As you can see, you get a lot of pigment in these. They're not very sheer, but they blend like a dream. They're really easy to use. Honestly, everything I've tried from Sydney Grace ever has been amazing. This is no different. I was expecting to love these and I definitely did. But I think I love this one just a little bit more. This is from Persona. This is the Persona Dream Stick Blush. I've loved these for years, but this shade specifically, I just tried this out about a month ago, but it's one of those things. I knew I loved the formula, and as soon as I tried this shade, I was like, yes, the perfect shade. This is the shade Carmel, the prettiest pink shade, and what do you know, looks exactly like the one just before it. These formulas actually remind me a lot of each other. Very pigmented, kind of more of a satiny finish. You do not need a lot of product, but they blend like a dream. And honestly, I have been using this blush so much over the last month and a half. It's incredible. It deserved a mention today. Normally I don't mention things so quickly after I've tried them, but I'm very comfortable with this formula because I've been using it for years and they nailed this shade. It is so great. Okay, ranked at number 4 is the Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush. I have like 6 shades of these. I love them all. This one is in Bold Heart. This one I think I love especially. It's kind of like a corally, bright, punchy pink. This looks amazing in the winter time. I've realized lately I love a punchy color on my cheeks in the winter, whether it's something more berry toned or something kind of like pinky coral. I just think it looks so pretty on your skin when your skin's starting to look a little bit drab. This formula is so good. I've mentioned it before. It reminds me a lot of the Hourglass formula. Very pigmented, has a little bit of sheen to it, and it just sits so beautifully on the skin. It looks amazing. And above all, it's cheap. These giant blushes are only $4.99 a piece. Ranked at number 3, I'm gonna go with the Haus Labs Blush in French Rosette. This I am wearing on my cheeks today. This is such a great shade of blush. It's different than what I typically reach for. It's kind of corally and pink, but also has this like terracotta pull to it that's just different than most other blushes that I typically gravitate towards. This blush is super pigmented. I'm curious to go back and try some shades. Now, when you're looking at the shades in this range, you will notice that they all look kind of bold, which initially kind of scared me a bit. I was nervous to try these, but I love the punchiness to this color. They just go on so quickly and they give you the perfect amount of color that's obvious that you're wearing blush, but it's just the right amount, just the right color. It's stunning. I don't have anything quite like this in my collection. And by the way, the packaging of these, it's just lovely. Haven't been a huge Haus Labs fan so far, but this is by far the best thing I've tried from them. Okay, ranked at number 2 is a blush that I think I mentioned last year, but once again, this thing has gone the test of time. I can't stop reaching for these. I'll try other things here and there, but I always come back to these. It is the Nabla 2 Reasons blush. I love these. I have 2 shades. I need to go back and pick up a few more. I've been meaning to for a while. I have Soft Nude and then this one, which is Touch My Soul. If you have dry skin and you like a good cream blush that gives you some hydration, I just think you'll love this formula. It is beautiful. I love combining the balm and the cream blush. Now, I think these are meant to be for your lips or for your cheeks. I just use them both for my cheeks, honestly. Sometimes I'll just dip into the cream blush itself, and sometimes I'll add a little bit of the balm in there with it too, just to give it a little extra kind of sheen and tackiness and hydration, depending on how dry my skin is feeling. But they're gorgeous. These just add like a plumpness to your cheeks that makes me feel like I look younger. It's probably not true, but I just think they look very pretty on my dry skin. And ranked at number 1 will probably be no surprise to you guys, is the Cooling Water Jelly Tints from Milk Makeup. I'm obsessed with these. These are the most unique formula I think I've ever tried, and I love the colors of these ones. I also love the the Undone Beauty water blushes, but these I think are better shades. These 2 shades, I actually have the whole range of shades and I like them all, but honestly, I think if you have these 2 shades, that's all you would need. It's a berry tone and kind of a corally tone. Both are bright and poppy, but not so bright that if you have fair skin, you couldn't get them to work for you. Just need to be a little bit more light-handed, but I think they're punchy enough that if you have more of like a medium, maybe even a deep skin tone, you probably can get both of these to work, because they definitely are not for the faint of heart. I mean, they give a good amount of color. You can definitely build them up. So I have Splash right here, and then Chill. This is Chill. Let me swatch Splash next to it. Oh, they are so lovely, you guys, and they last forever. Now, there definitely is a learning curve to these. I know I say this every time I talk about these, but I feel like when I hear someone say they didn't like these or they thought they were difficult to work with, it's because there's a very specific way to get these to work. Or maybe a better way of putting it, if you do these wrong, and they set down before they've blended out or you've gotten them where you want them, it's gonna look terrible. I would recommend using a brush. Get the product on your brush and then work it into your brush by kind of like swirling it around on the back of your hand, and then immediately tap onto your cheeks. It allows you to build up the color a little bit more slowly and get the shape just right, and kind of let it kind of set down while you're working it into your skin. If you go straight onto your cheeks, you're gonna have a hard time blending these out. So I definitely recommend using a brush. I find it to be the easiest way to work with these. But once they set down, they're gonna last forever. And that leaves us with my last couple of things. I have just a couple of setting sprays that I wanted to mention for you guys today. I've kind of been getting back into setting sprays after spending the first 6-7 months of the year not even doing setting spray at all. First off, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This stuff does make your makeup last a really long time. I think I like this one a little bit better than I like the Urban Decay 24 or All Nighter setting spray. It is very expensive, so just be aware of that. I don't use this every single day because honestly you would burn through this so quickly, and I just can't justify that. It's just really for those days when I have some sort of special occasion, or I just want my makeup to last longer, or I just want to feel a little bit fancier by putting an expensive setting spray on my face. For those of you that are on a tighter budget, there's this one, which is a little bit newer to me. This is the Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray from e.l.f. But man, you guys, this is so good. The sprayer, while it's a little hard to push down, is so fine. It's very impressive. And it smells nice, honestly. I just use this thing so generously because it's not 20, 30, 40 bucks like the Charlotte Tilbury one. This one's 10, which is much more in my budget, and you get a lot of product in it, so I can just spray to my heart's content. And with that, those are all of the products for the face. Stay tuned, we're gonna be back. Well, I'll have some other videos in between, but next weekend we will have my eyes, lips, and brows video, and then the week after that, the week of Christmas, we will be doing the palettes video, which is the one we all look forward to, right? So let that be a reminder. If you are not yet subscribed, please do that before you leave. I hope you guys are doing well. Very Merry Christmas to those of you getting ready for the big holiday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye. I generally try to just like stay out of that kind of stuff because, I mean, frankly, how many of us are texting on an iPhone? Do you know what goes on at Foxconn? But somehow we can't get away from using stuff from controversial companies in China. So maybe someday it will change. I think that would be great. But for now, take a deep breath.